let me ask you, what color are the Sentinels' heads?
Purple?
In my mind, they're purple and gray.
Yeah, so in my mind, they're purple and gray also. But then I did some Googling. They're mostly not.
Are they black?
No, they're red and pink.
Oh, like the biceps and thighs.
I guess so.
Because they're only two colors. They're like magenta and purple.
Yeah, so there are and
in flesh and a face.
There are many different iterations of them, right?
That's true.
Some are purple and gray. Some are purple and pink. Some are red and pink. Some are like purple and flesh colored.
I think you could probably paint it whatever two colors you like, and it would be just fine.
Well, sure, but what I'm saying is that like it just blew my mind because like, it was like one of those things where like I would have bet a paycheck that they were purple and gray, and then when I went through and looked at most of the pictures, not.
What do you mean gray? I've always thought they were flesh colored right in the face.
Yeah, so I in my mind they were gray in the face, and sometimes they are. Yeah, and sometimes they are.
Huh.
But you are right that most oftentimes they are not. They vary from flesh colored to pink.
Weird.
Yeah.
And I like what's his face? Nimrod is pink in the face, right? He's white and pink in the face.
Well, that's pretty broad strokes there.
Dude, fucking Nimrod. You know, my dad used to call people Nimrods. I'll never forget. We were driving somewhere, and there was like a guy in front of us driving, obviously, and he had a Quebec license plate. And,
Quebec.
And he wasn't driving up to my father's standards. And I remember my father saying, "Get out of the way, you Quebecian Nimrod."
That's a very specific sitcom worthy diss.
I mean, I was pretty confused when like I saw Nimrod for the first time because I know the word is like an idiot, right?
Right.
But then this scary robot that's like, super powerful. And I was like, why is this thing a Nimrod?
Well, I was confused that they were calling him Nimrod and being super scared of him, and then he shows up and he just looks like an asshole.
He looks like an asshole. It's the name of an asshole.
They probably called him Nimrod because of the way he looks.
He looks like a Nimrod.
The least threatening looking villain of all time. I'd fight Nimrod before I fought fucking Arcane.
Dude, Arcane is just Saw.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I guess, what is Mojo? Mojo is kind of in that pocket also a bit. Not the same way, but I agree that you were right.
I love his seasoning.
Yeah, or Mojo. Did I say Mojo? I'm thinking about the fucking furniture.
No, you didn't, but it all...
IKEA.
Listen,
IKEA?
And I love that IKEA piece, too. Yeah. I like to put the Mojo seasoning on the Mojo shelf.
I'm going into IKEA withdrawals.
Most jokes are great under the detox.
That's right. They fit too. They fit too. Boy. But yeah, so that blew my mind this week. Joe, we'll go opposite as we did last week. Joe, how was your Rona romp?
My Rona romp is fine. They cut in work hours, finally, at the hospital job. At one of my hospital jobs, they are opening 6 hours. So they're doing a 10 to 4. So I'm going to do 2 days there, and then my weekend, and then that's it. 3 days off, and then 2 6-hour days. Feel great.
Are your pockets good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I'm actually because I've been trying to actually starting to get min hours like last week, like just 1 10-hour day and then the weekend. So now I'm actually getting 2 more hours than I needed.
Right.
So no, it's great.
Okay, good.
And
so
PSA,
I was going to say, what's your DSA? DSA.
My DSA is, so I see people wearing masks. It's great, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I also see them taking them on, putting them off. Which is not the best because you're not protected when you're taking it on, putting on, taking it off.
Right.
The problem is they're doing it often and they're just touching the face every time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not supposed to touch your face, but then they keep reaching for the face for the mask and just touching the nose and mouth area exactly where you're not supposed to be touching. So
I have
be aware of that.
I have a DSA about that as well. Whatever you have on your fingers, you've now just introduced to your mask.
Yes.
So that's something you want to avoid as well. Once you have the mask on, you want to treat the mask as if it is your face.
Yes. And at least try to touch the outside, not the inside of the mask.
Oh, for sure.
I see people put their fingers on the inside of the mask, which what's the point?
So I have a DSA as well. We are supposed to be social distancing, right? And the president, I think they just pushed it, or maybe it was Hogan. I can't keep track of who's fucking giving me orders these days, but they pushed it from 6 feet to 13 feet, right?
Yeah, I mean, I always thought 6 feet was like, I mean, I guess it's min distance, it was too low. Yeah. You're definitely breathing someone's air in 6 feet.
And that's, it's fine. And I think a fucking sneeze goes like 26 feet or fucking 20,000 leagues under the sea. I can't keep track. A sneeze just goes on forever. If somebody sneezes in Taiwan, you're fucked. Everybody's fucked. You know what I mean? Like, it's like out of control.
The reason we can't really keep more than 6 feet away from people, like in general.
Right.
Like, the world is not set up that way.
I have found that people are generally, like in the neighborhood and stuff, right? Like people are generally being compliant with this. But the DSA says, for me, is that it also applies to children. Children are not immune to it or being carriers. And if I yell at my child to come away from your child, it's not personal and it's not an attack on you. It's just that I am trying to maintain the social distancing the best I can, but telling a 3-year-old that's overly social and wants to be friends with everybody to back away does seem a little aggressive.
Did you get a weird look?
Oh, yeah. But she just runs up to everybody. What's your name? I'm trying to think if I had any others. They might come to me as a
yeah, that is the thing though. I have seen people with children running around the store and like they're following protocols. I'm like, but like again, it's pointless when it's just you and you're not controlling your people to be following protocol too, because it's not like they're immune.
Yeah,
they're part of it.
I'm anxious to see Maryland's numbers today because I think they changed our peak to today. But our numbers have been going down consistently the last couple days.
Good.
Yeah, which is good. Chris, how was your Rona romp? And then we'll bring up the one Rona romp discussion directly related to Maryland before we move on to Nerd Weeks.
Still seeing people saying it's a hoax or saying it's like not real.
Yeah.
I saw someone post a video online about some motherfucker on YouTube is sounding scientific and saying it's fake. I'm like, come on! Like, I personally know people who have died,
or that Bill Gates made it.
Have had it.
I'm getting tired of the Bill Gates making it shit. I'm like, come on, just come the fuck on.
Shit is hilarious, though. Come on now.
This is fucking insane. The one, have you seen the one where it's like, or the 5G, the ET one? Did I share that? So it's like it says 5G and it has like ET touching a person, like the 2 fingers, and then the next panel is ET like all sick, from. Oh god, it's good. Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry. How was your Rona rump?
Let's see. The only time I left the house was I had to go to Home Depot to get some foam and a couple other things. And the mask thing is. I'd say that 80% of people had on let me back up. 80% of the people had a mask near their face.
Upon their person?
Upon their person. This goes for staff. I'd say that all the employees at Home Depot had some sort of face covering, covering at least part of their face, which may or may not have included there was a man with a beautifully bushy mustache who had, I guess, decided the mustache was filtering his nostrils, so he just had it over his mouth.
Yeah, man. I've seen that too.
And it's everything from the homemade T-shirt masks to people wearing like proper respiratory kind of equipment. But pretty busy. I mean, it was did I end up going on a Saturday? I think I did. I ended up going on a Saturday morning, probably the worst day to go, to be honest. But they had stopped. So the last time I went, they were doing the door count. So they had it lines every 6 feet outside and we're only letting a certain amount of people. And now it's a free-for-all. I mean, you just walk in.
They just gave up? But I mean, also, I think if you said look at our area, I feel like it's more lax. Like when I went to Food Line here, it's definitely more lax than when I was down, closer to DC in stores.
How so?
Like, I mean, at the shopping center I work at, one of the shopping centers I work at, like, people were being kicked out. People were trying to cover their face with a shirt and stuff. They were being, like, no, you can't come in, or we're not serving you even if you're in here, so you might as well get the fuck out. But at, like, a Food Line, there was definitely people without masks there. Like, and we're currently ordered to have masks to be in business.
We are ordered now.
Yeah, so, like, I went to pick up milk, and there was definitely people.
But it's not. It's ordered. But I mean, like my wife went to the grocery, and there was one guy being loud. She said he's in there a lot, being loud and obnoxious. Nothing has changed, and he's still wearing a mask. I guess he hangs out like the Starbucks there. And she said something to one of the cashiers, like, "What happens if somebody's not wearing a mask?" And she says, "We're not going to tell them not to. We can't tell them anything.
Right.
Like, I guess they could call the cops if they wanted to, and they could come in and just, politely say, hey." Like, I mean, we were watching live PD this weekend, which is still on unbelievably, and they were saying, look, our jobs have changed a lot, and part of their job was they were standing out in front of Walmart handing out masks to people who weren't wearing them.
To serve and protect, bro. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'd rather them be actively helping people than, giving tickets.
I mean, but other than that, I mean, I didn't leave the house, I don't guess. I can't remember leaving the house.
Yeah, I've been mostly inside. I've actually been off work for a bit, so like.
Because you had a cough.
Because I had a cough, which my symptoms have subsided. No fever, no chills, no aches, none of that stuff. But I did
chills, Bobby.
But I did have a dry cough for like consistently for like 4 or 5 days. But it's also the pollen count's been higher. And since we don't have access to tests, I couldn't just be tested and go back to work, which would have been my preference.
Yeah.
But the thing is that what's interesting or weird to me is like, so I've been more sheltered, right? My wife has been at work, so she's been more exposed. So like, in order to go out and get an essential or whatever, I've had to like send my wife and like wait at home for her to like return safely, and I tell you, I'm very uncomfortable with that. I don't like that concept at all, but it's just, and that'll flip flop, as soon as I go back to work, Sunday, and then, those rules will flip flop again, which I'll be more comfortable with, but it is
I mean, imagine it's not the worst being home now anyway, since I'm sure like it's extra dirty and mopping.
Yeah. It's
extra biohazards.
Yeah, because the floors aren't being walked on as much, but the people that are walking on them are, who knows where they're walking,
Right.
So it's been rough.
All
my fellow moppers out there, my thoughts are with you. I mean that.
I got sent an article, and I was going to share it, but in the back of my mind, and this is messed up, but in the back of my head, I'm like, how many people are going to just come at me that this is bullshit and I've never heard of this website and that kind of stuff? So I didn't, but we have a friend who works in the New York City hospital system. Yes, we do. Bless. I mean, and I thank him every time I talk to him for what he does. And he lost someone very close to him that he's worked with for years in the a physician, another in the field.
Yeah,
got contracted this, but he sent us an article about somebody. It was a gentleman who he and his husband owned a framing company in New York, like a picture framing company, and obviously they're closed, so they're just looking for side jobs. And he got a job as a morgue truck worker. The freezer truck worker, $75 an hour. They pay you up front the first day, assuming you're not going to come back.
Wow.
But I mean, that's a hard read. It's a very hard read, but it is. I could only imagine, man. I mean, it was kind of. You don't think about that, though. You don't think about there's somebody physically doing this.
Yep.
There's somebody dealing with like you hear, there's 17 bodies found in a 4-body morgue in New Jersey at a nursing home. Well, somebody's got to deal with all. And listen, I know people that for their job they deal with that stuff, but they're having to bring in extra. I mean, the 4 people that work at a mortuary aren't dealing with all this. It's probably 40 people. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of counseling for the foreseeable future.
I'll tell you, I like with the like I have had, due to a number of circumstances, some interactions with probably infected people. It's not like you can test them. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
And so I'm not one to like shy away from conversation. It's not really my bag.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to talk about it. Like, I've noticed, like in my head, I think there's part of me that wants to talk about it, but I'm not talking about it, and I think in my head, I've made a deal with myself. 'Cause I do feel like I have a number of like not conflicting, but different personalities, and I'm okay. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. But I am inside my head.
You're working on you, right?
I'm working on me. And I feel like one of them is like, look, you can talk about this shit till the cows come home after it's over. But right now, we just want to focus on the good stuff. Deal? And the guy's like, deal. I don't know how else to describe it, but that's kind of how I feel. Yeah. What do you guys think about what's going on in Maryland right now? Since we're now the Political Rage podcast, what do you guys think about what's going on in Maryland right now in Annapolis?
I think that the protesting, is that what you're getting to?
Yes.
Oh, protesting.
Oh my God. I mean, it's like, so I will say, from what I saw on the news, they showed maybe 4 states that were protesting. In some states, I believe like Texas was one where they were literally just assholes to elbows in the streets. It looked like a lot of the people protesting in Maryland were in their cars protesting. Which
I saw people I see people protesting in PPE. I'm like, wait a minute.
they're like open up, but let me stay in my car.
Yo man, I'm fresh 3 and from head to toe, dog. You can't touch me with this.
And I get it. I get it, right?
I get it too, but it's like literally, I don't know, man. I get it. Look, part of the way our country is set up is your right to protest. That's fine. But you're literally protesting against the thing. I don't have a good way to explain it, but you both know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're protesting against the thing that you're obviously scared of catching.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I should feel bad about it, but I don't. Like, obviously, I have the same reaction. But you see the post with the guy who was just like a few weeks ago complaining, and that like people should be allowed to do whatever they want, and like now he's dead because he caught it, and I fucking laughed. I'm like, good.
Well,
fuck you.
Well, we're talking about survival versus survival. Is what we're talking about. Like if this shit doesn't open up at some point, like have you seen there's like the Baltimore City like Whole Foods or whatever, or not Whole Foods, but it's like some
Whole Foods?
I don't think it's Whole Foods, but it's some sort of like food market, like grocery store.
Uh-huh.
And people are just lined up like all over the place, like begging for food because they don't have money because they're now, 2 paychecks short and they don't have food.
So this is part of what I was talking about last week. That it's a man-made issue. Like money is a man-made issue. It's not real. Like the virus is a real issue. Like it's not man-made. I mean, maybe it is, but like it's not. it's not pretend. It's there. It can get you sick. It can kill you. Mm-hmm. Food-wise, like that's a human-made problem. That's us as a society deciding that we'd rather throw away food than to give it to people who can't pay for it.
Right. No, and I agree.
We're just talking about how we're dumping food and like because they can't sell it. While these people can't get food because they don't have money. Like, it makes no sense.
Well, I think as people caught up, like, this is where I 100% agree with you in that it's a systematic issue, right? But I think people are caught up in the system where it's like,
I mean, everyone is, right? Because we're all part of it,
right? But I mean specifically people that are feeling the brunt of it.
Yes.
And the people that are that could fix it. Because like here we go, like so you're and maybe like the Trump checks pretty much hit for most people. I feel like
I didn't get it.
Did you not?
I want to check on it, and it says my information is not available.
That's weird.
I looked it up. A lot of people are having that issue.
Did you file taxes in 2018?
Yeah, of course. I filed taxes I haven't filed this year just because like they're like it's July. So I said fuck it.
Did you fall into the parameters of getting the check?
I mean, I use H&R Block, and
financially. I don't want to put your business out there, but
I mean, I should get something.
Yeah.
And did Laura get something, Bobby?
Well, we got the full shebang because we don't make like it's $150,000. We don't make that. We don't make that.
No, we don't make that in this house either. And also, like, I think I make about the same as Laura. So if she gets it, I should get it.
Yeah. I know someone who got $36.
I do. I know that same person.
You do too. Yeah.
Are they doing well?
They were doing well when they filed.
2018, they were doing great.
When they filed their last taxes, they were doing well. Now they're not doing as well, which sucks.
That's part of the problem because, like, even if you made, 150 2 years ago, and if you're out of a job now,
So I don't know if you guys know this, but there are two bills that are being put together in
the $2,000 one.
One of them is $2,000 per month for a year for every man and woman over the age of 16, no matter income. And then the second one is
16, though, that's crazy. I'm sure it's gonna pass.
One is to weigh. Oh, and then on top, and then $500 per kid. Under the age of 16. And the second one is forgiveness of all mortgage and rent till the end of the year.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Except if you're a landlord.
Also, for those that are out there with mortgages, there's a good chance if you're having financial trouble, you can contact your mortgage owner and ask to postpone the payments for the year and tack it on to the end of your mortgage payment. Like just as an option, like just to let people know aware of that.
That's the good thing if they do, because like some company I heard has been trying to like, we'll defer your shit for 4 months, but in 4 months, all 4 months is due at the same time. Like that doesn't fucking help anything.
Right? No, that doesn't help.
Fucking dumb.
But it seems like most mortgage companies have been willing to tack it on to the end.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't know if we talked about that on here, but if they do that and then the credit reporting is screwed up, then how many people in America are going to have fucked up credit because they missed a mortgage payment, which is basically the worst thing you can do to your credit.
Right.
And then, like, you try to go get a car note in 2 months, and they're like, oh, well, you skipped mortgage payments. So all that stuff will have to be rewritten if that ends up being the case.
And I also think, like most people are getting hit by this. Like, some of us are lucky and not really, but like I think if you're going to buy a car next year and then that shit pops up, I think people will understand. I would hope.
I would hope too. I'll tell you this too. So this is one thing.
Console companies are suffering. Like they're like I'm thinking of buying a car right now, or like trading in because my car.
I'm going to I'm probably going to wait till right when the world starts to open back up. I think I'm going to try to do some big massive thing with both our vehicles and switcheroo, get one lease and one purchase.
Because you can get a brand new Nissan for like $18,000 right now.
Yeah, everybody's feeling the pinch. So motherfuckers gonna be ready to wheel and deal, so to speak, when this shit is, you know what I mean, when it starts rocking and rolling again.
Joe, I need 2 of those Nissans, one for each foot.
Hey, the funny thing is, it's called the Nissan Kicks.
Oh, nice. KYX, right? KYX.
I did.
Speaking side note, I'm gonna let you finish. Speaking of the horn, I have something coming today that'll be a great accompaniment to the horn.
Nice.
That I'll have here at the house.
I have something coming.
Something from my childhood.
Ooh, I have something coming today too that I'm pretty excited about. And also, Joe, I want to one day when you got all this time off now, Joe. You don't know what to do with yourself. To have a conversation. For the Patreon with you, Laura, and myself having a quarter scale statue discussion.
Sure, in 2 weeks, like everything else.
Right. No, this one I want to get rocking and rolling because I'm up and at 'em now.
With a quarter scale?
Yeah,
I just got who was I talking to? Someone friended me who's part of our collective community. Let me see, Tim K.
Okay, yeah, Tim K. I know Tim K.
Yeah, he friended me on Facebook. He's like, about time we became friends. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't reach out and befriend people on the internet because I'm not like that. But if you hit me up, man, I'm always down. And then we had a little talk about figures and statues yesterday.
So let me say this. I had, my perspective on quarter scale has been changing, right? We've talked about it here. Right,
you fluid.
Well, yeah, I think I'm trying to figure it out. Right, I'm trying to figure out the. I feel like I'm at an Los Angeles highway system, and I'm trying to figure out which way I want to go.
Oh, you got to figure out way in advance.
Right. So, but Laura introduced another idea to me that I'll talk to you about off the air. That I was like, "Fuck!"
On the air.
Yeah, because we talk about it a bit on Wine and Cheese. So I don't want to spoil that discussion, but I want to have a three-way conversation, so to speak. So I want to get back to this Maryland thing. There was another thing I wanted to say about.
I wonder how the swing community is doing.
Oh, it's got to be trash. It's got to be trash, right?
Or extra exciting for people who are interested.
Are swingers the real victims here? Do you know what I mean? Like your whole lifestyle and culture is dependent upon intimately meeting new people, and it's just been snatched from out from under you
in large groups, right? I would think.
Well, I think that would be the more the merrier. I would imagine.
Yeah, man. Like they're not swinging nothing right now.
Swingers are the real victims. So I want
name of the podcast.
Yeah, this is gonna be the name of the podcast. So there was two things I want to. All right, I'm going to say this. I have a statue thing. Don't let me forget it. I want to bring this last thing up about Annapolis. So here's what I find interesting about it. It's all right. So Maryland is historically, kind of traditionally, a blue state. Governor Hogan is a Republican, one of the first Republican governors that we've had in a long time. And I'll say this: I didn't vote for him. And I'll say this also, I wish I had, because I fucking love this guy. His base, his voter base, are the people protesting.
Huh. Yeah, it is a very strange dynamic.
Now,
that's weird.
Here's where it gets stranger. Here's where, like, this is what, so it's like a very tangled web. He was just interviewed yesterday about, I'm not sure if you saw Trump's tweets, right? But Trump said, liberate Michigan, liberate Virginia, liberate Minnesota.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It was Minnesota, Michigan, and Virginia. Now, he tweeted this. He tweeted this shortly after saying that we need to continue the social distancing. And he also tweeted this shortly after saying he was going to let governors make the call.
Yeah, they can open before me first. Yeah.
Yep, and he supported the governors making the call, which I do think is the right choice for Trump to say, because in Wyoming, where they're having like 4 cases total,
yeah,
we should open up some of this stuff a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
So that makes sense. But here's the thing: so Hogan, who is he's on the governor board, whatever. I didn't even know that was a fucking thing until all
he's like the captain of the team.
The governorship.
Well, I mean, basically, there's 50 governors. I don't care. I don't know if they count like Guam, Puerto Rico. I'm assuming they are, but like he's one of the leaders of the governor group.
Correct. So he was asked about, what do you think about these tweets? And that the tweets often, the tweets not often, but are all swing states, right? States that sometimes go blue, sometimes go red.
Yep.
And we had this presidential election coming up. And Hogan was saying, well, I find it very bizarre that he tweeted them shortly after just giving us the support to run our states how we saw fit. So it's also creating a bit of at odds, putting our governor and the president at odds. Our president is also the same base that's seems to be largely protesting, seems to be Hogan's base and Trump's base. So all of that kind of happening at the same time to me is like just sociologically fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, it's so it's good to see that you can have a separation, right, of the party and the person. Like, just because someone is of a particular affiliation doesn't mean they have to be all the characteristics of said affiliation. And same with the voter base. Just because you voted for your party doesn't mean that guy's gonna do what you want.
Yeah,
and doesn't mean what you think is right.
I have another question, and then we'll get off the Rona shit. But since people enjoyed the conversation last week,
I'm super fucking surprised.
I was too. I was like, dude, I was
so shitty. I was like, I fucking derailed a goddamn show.
Well, I was hesitant because I was like, man, people don't want to hear this shit from maybe from you guys, but not from me. I don't know what the fuck.
Not from me. I don't know shit. I'm
right. Same thing.
And especially like majority of us here aren't hit too bad by this fucking thing. They don't want to hear from us.
Right. Okay. So here's my question. The government, right, has like tried to put a lockdown on, and I think Hogan has, for instance, but like on religious gatherings, right? Churches, synagogues, mosques, etc.
Yes.
And then all the kind of like, so if those are the big three, all the independents. The independent companies. Is that a violation of church and state?
What do you mean?
So historically, right? I've never been a fan of the church dictating to the government how to move, right?
Yeah, and they do have an influence somewhat. And
Absolutely,
there is like not a real complete separation of church and state in this country.
Absolutely. Is this the reverse? Is this the government telling the religions how to move? And is that a violation of church and state?
No, because the state is treating religion not as special entities, but as any other entity. And they're not telling one specific church not to do something that another church is not. They say, like, no gatherings of any kind, regardless of whether you're a church or not. Like, they're telling them they're not exempt from the rule, which is good.
What are your thoughts on that, Chris? I mean, honestly, it kind of all gets to a gray area at some point with everything going on. I think people are going to complain no matter what they do. I mean, there's always going to be a minority that's not going to be happy. You know, the people that are protesting, did they spend their Trump bucks on the gas to get to the protests?
Right. Right.
So,
Ronikov. I just like, I'm always watchful in that way where, because I feel like everybody wants to give the president more power. And I mean, Trump, Obama,
why?
Bush. It depends.
Everybody.
Everybody wants to give every president more power, but it all depends on if they're their guy. Do you know what I mean? So, like, okay, I support Obama, so I'm going to give Obama more power because I like him. But the problem isn't Obama, Bush, or Trump, right? It's like the president 60 years from now. You know what I mean?
Like, once you give it, it's really hard to take back.
Exactly. So, like, I am trying to keep, and I'm not doing a super aggressive job of it, but I am trying to keep kind of a watchful eye on, you know, all the shit that comes out of this. Like, you know, like kind of like we talked about last week with, you know, now we have the whole Homeland Security and everything, all this shit that came out of 9/11 that, like, some of it I'm very iffy on in regards to what is, you know, what have we given up for that, right? Yeah. And I'm kind of doing the same thing here. And don't get me wrong, I am 100% in, like, I agree that we should lock down assemblies, right? Regardless of the institution of that assembly. The Rammstein concert that I have tickets for in August, that should probably be locked down the same way that, you know, Joe's Episcopal Church over here on 4th and Main should be locked down, right? I agree.
What about your the Star Wars Land tickets?
Yeah, well, so here's the thing about that. Everything that I have regarding my planned Disney trip for November is refundable.
Oh, and it's going straight to quarter scale. That's why you want to
No,
talk.
it's not going straight to quarter scale at all. I can assure you of that. And trust me, I know this quarter scale thing is going to be a slow burn. But you know, but
a lot of projects.
But right, but at the same,
and here we are, all done.
but at the same time, I just like. I also want to be, you know, while I agree with those choices, I want to be aware of exactly what power the government should have. Mm-hmm. Because I am, like, watchful of that sort of, I'm at least becoming more watchful since, I think, the 9/11, the Patriot shit, right? That's when I became aware of it.
The Watcher.
The Watchman.
Yeah.
No, but I don't think it's an extra power that they're using to tell the church what to do. I think they're actually just exercising the power they should have been exercising to begin with. Also, why the fuck don't they pay taxes?
Also, what?
Why the fuck don't they pay taxes? They make so much money. The mega churches and shit.
I agree, but that operates under that same thing, though, right? Like, that operates under that same separation of church and state, I think.
Yeah, I mean, separation of church and state means they should pay taxes.
Well, a church is a nonprofit. That's why they don't pay taxes.
Yeah, but they are. But how big is that fucking house that Joel Osteen or whatever?
Well, right, but you know what? That is his salary.
Yeah,
the
but
church isn't non-profit.
Yeah, but, like, that's a loophole, and everybody knows it.
Sure.
You know?
So,
country is built on loopholes, Joseph.
It is, and that's the problem.
Before we get into Nerd Weeks, I want to ask you, Joe.
Yes, sir.
I have no so Laura and I did some window browsing. I'm out here window shopping. Your boy's a window shopper. And we were looking at quarter scale stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through all your major players, right? Your Prime Ones, your XMs, the whole shebang. And I was really blown away by how much I liked some of the 1/6 stuff, even more so than the quarter scale stuff. But
I mean, like that's a good scale, and I'm happy as someone coming back.
Agreed.
XM at least they're fucking saying, fuck it, we're gonna do 6, 1/6 statues.
Talk to me. But so we saw the Witchblade statue, right?
Which one? The XM one I have?
You know which one. And
I wasn't sure if there was another one that I need to get.
And Laura said, "Oh my God, that's fucking amazing." And I was like, she has, but I think it's like it's in the limited time that we've been there, I think it's just too much to remember everything. Do you know what I mean? It's like I don't know if a collection like yours, how much time you need to separate the sum of its parts from the individual pieces.
Oh, that's why I stand there and look at it for a long time.
Right. Well, she's got a standing ring now on her fucking Apple Watch, so she can go over there and stand and look at it for an hour or so. But
how fucking crazy was it yesterday? Then I was like, I'm missing out on tea, and you were actually having tea. That was fucking crazy. So yesterday we're having a discussion, and like I think some kind of maybe drama going on or something, and I said, oh man, I'm missing out on tea, meaning drama. And then Bobby's like, are you looking in my window? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he says he's having tea. I'm like, really?
No bullshit. I looked out my back window to make sure you weren't looking in. I swear to God. So anyway, I was like, look, I know it's beautiful, right? I know it's a beautiful statue, but I'm not sure if I can have this.
What do you mean?
Well, so that's what she asked, Joe. Are you playing the roles or what? And you gotta put your Laura voice on if you're gonna do this. And I was like, I think something seems wrong about having such a premium piece so close to another premium piece. In like that, like I have this Witchblade statue, and then you have it 3 doors down.
Oh.
Something seems wrong about that to me. I don't know why.
That's fucking crazy.
Something seems wrong about it. So I was like, I said that, and she was like, Joe wouldn't care. And I was like, it's not about Joe. It's about the fucking universe. It's like it's bigger than Joe. Universe?
It's the fucking singularity. Yeah. My fucking implode.
Yes. So like it seems like if you get a Warhol, I just can't get the next Warhol. Like I don't know. It's like.
That's weird to me, though. Like, I mean, is nothing? It's nothing about you not wanting to have something somebody else already have. Because I know some people have that, and it's like they feel it's less special if someone else has it.
I don't. That's like maybe. I think like okay, so like I asked her if what's a affordable car, relatively. For a suburban neighborhood, but it's definitely on the upper end where nobody's gonna not everybody's gonna have it. There might be 1 or 2 in the neighborhood. And she was like, let's say a Range Rover. I said, perfect. So Joe buys a teal Range Rover with yellow accents, and then a year later, I buy the same teal Range Rover with yellow accents, and now we both have them parked outside. Something's fucked up about that.
I don't think it's the same thing, bro.
Talk to me.
I mean, there's your personal collection that's inside your house, first of all. No one's going to come to my house and then come to your house or vice versa and be like, wait, that's the same piece.
People are definitely going to do that.
No, because of Rona. We're never seeing anybody else ever again.
What do you think? What do you think?
It's kind of, you know what, you're kind of right, because if none of this happened and Skullfest happened, like, I'm sure people will be at your house and going back and forth between our houses. And then, but like, that's it. I mean, it goes back to who's the collection for. Is it for you to look at, or is it for somebody else to look at, or a combination of both?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's for me ultimately, but it's like one of those things like from Batman, like the more you have, the less they're worth. It's like I think there's something about me getting it that makes yours less special.
I guess. I mean, I guess I never looked at it that way. Pinkerton, you're fluid. Do you have any idea what he's talking about?
So I mean, I guess it would be like, hey, to an extent, Bobby, I'll be honest, one of the reasons that, like, I don't know if I've ever really even said this out loud, one of the reasons I stopped really caring so much about Transformers once I moved here is, well, back in the day at least,
right?
I could come look at every Transformer ever made, basically, that I would care about, because you have it at your house.
Right.
And to an extent, like, why would I have a half-assed Star Wars 6-inch display when I'm at your house every week and I can just look at yours? I mean,
but it's not yours though.
Right, it's not. But from a visual standpoint, Bobby, are we on the same page here a little bit?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I have access to.
But Bobby, you never go to anybody else's house, so your argument's invalid.
Well, I'm not invited to all the exclusive gatherings. All right, Chris.
Invitations. I keep forgetting. Well, hopefully a new piece of equipment I'm looking at, I'll be able to send you a nice engraved plaque every time I want you to come over.
Well, look, I think I'm parking my car in Chris's garage, so to speak. Like, I think that,
you can't put a car in that garage. You know better.
But I think that, I can enjoy that piece anytime I want post-corona. That there's something that seems, I don't know, it seems almost kind of tacky or selfish.
So back in the day when we went out and stuff, and there are stores around. So let's say Beyond. Okay, that's reachable. That's close to us, right?
Sure.
Back in normal times. So would you never buy anything off that they have because you can easily just drive over and look at it?
Well, no, but that's not permanent necessarily, though, right? Like that their inventory is just about a little bit more fluid than Chris's.
This is true.
So for you, it's about being able to see it, not necessarily being yours.
I think it's about being able to enjoy it. That's what I think it's about.
Your enjoyment isn't just so you can see it. I mean, it's in your house.
Well, I think my enjoyment is that I can see it, but I can just walk down the street and see it. I mean, you can just pull the even. By the way, I think we should start a petition to say BC doesn't stand for before Christ anymore. It should be before Corona. But back in the BC days, I could just come over and see it. Even in the AC days, I can come over and sit on your porch. You can just pull the drapes back for me, turn the lights on.
Which actually,
I don't know.
So, I mean, I guess. I mean, at that point, with our combined
forces,
with a collection combined, it'll be amazing. Especially if I live next door and then have a hallway between our houses.
Well, just keep an eye on the market, Joe. See how this next house does next to me.
A sidebar again. Sorry. So, how often are you supposed to mow your grass? Or not supposed to, I guess. Ideally, what?
I think once a week is fair. I think you can also push it depending on the weather and shit. Like if it rains all fucking week, you're gonna have to get it that week.
So is that due to the way it looks personally for you, or because you don't get in trouble with HOA?
So I've never gotten in trouble with the HOA because I think these people are scared to fuck with me because of how bad things have gotten in the past between me and neighbors around here. So it's more so about I don't want it to look like shit. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy.
Different limit on what they think look like shit. So
correct.
For me, I do once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think we can get away with that.
Crazy.
No, I think you can get away with that. My problem with doing it once every 2 weeks is just it ends up creating more work for me with all the fucking clippings.
Yes, yeah, and it's a little bit harder. So
yeah.
And especially I use a fucking push mower. It's gonna work out. But my neighbor, to the one right next to me that's between us. It's every fucking 2 days he's mowing the lawn.
Really?
And they're doing some kind of yard work at least almost every day. I'm
it's busy work, man.
It's hard not
it might be.
Because, Chris's office is her window faces their yard, so they're always out there doing some shit. I'm like, damn, man, that's a clear divide between our lawns.
The townhouse neighbor or the other neighbor?
No, fuck no, the house neighbors. The one between them.
Okay, so that guy, I always see him working on his car. I feel like that's what I like. I'm sure he's just toiling away at this point, but I don't know. How often do you mow your grass, Chris? Oh, you probably have. Does Mason mow your grass?
Kelly mows it. She likes to do it. Dude, if you really think about it, all we have is that patch by the road. Rest of it is, she mows at it. There's some in front of the house that runs around.
She mows at it.
Well, she's mowing. I'll tell you, she's mowing down baby trees and rocks.
Right.
She spends more time out there with the leaves. And that's intensive in the fall, but we haven't mowed our grass yet this year.
Dude, I have 10 bags of raked stuff from 4 months ago that's sitting in my garage because I still don't know when they're taking that shit. I tried to take it out last week and they were just sitting there. But
wait,
anyway,
the lawn people, they came.
The lawn clippings,
they came Wednesday. They came last Wednesday.
Oh, on trash day?
No, they're separate. They're separate. So the trash comes Tuesdays, recycling comes Wednesdays, and every other Wednesday, and then the lawn people I think come every other Wednesday as well, and I think it's an alternating Wednesday.
I must have just taken it. Let me know the schedule because like,
Okay.
I have 10 bags of just fucking old clippings.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so like I don't know. These. Oh, I also was fucking nervous. Like talking about the townhouses on the other side. I thought their shit was on fire the other when they came home, because like you know how they like
Yep.
the one right next to me. Like they like to fucking do their.
Yep.
You've seen it. You can see it from your house,
Dude.
right?
I'm like, nope. I
Dude,
look at it all the
not only
time.
do they have a fucking fire on their deck, their next door neighbor. So that side by side decks both have fires, and I guess they're just chilling in the Rona world, hanging out with two fires going on at the same time. And I was like, I thought that shit was on fire.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know what they're thinking, but like
They love it. They're there like all the time.
I know.
Send fires on a deck.
I know, it's crazy. All right, so about 45 minutes in.
So you better hurry up and start buying quarter scales before I buy all the ones you want. And then
I don't think I'm going to have that problem. We have this huge overlap, you and I, of interest in regards to the Top Cow properties, and I'm not sure how or why, but we do.
That's awesome. What do you mean?
Well, yeah, it's awesome, but I mean, so's a lot of shit. I mean, I'm sure you think a lot of your shit is awesome. I think a lot of my shit is awesome, but it doesn't overlap the same way.
I look at the darkness and the Magdalena and the Witchblade statues and think aren't impressed by them.
Right? No, I agree. Who do you think it's because? Do you think that you and I are as hungry for that material because there's not as much product available for it?
Probably, I guess. They're more niche and there's fewer characters, and also like I really enjoyed the books when I was reading them.
Yeah, me too. Man.
They didn't. I guess maybe because they were newer and they were also not the main two. That I didn't find them having as much issues as I had with like Marvel and DC, because there weren't any much retcons. There weren't much, contradicting writers.
There was a big reboot with Darkness, though. Do you remember that? There was like a
yeah.
But it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad.
No, it wasn't. That's the thing. It wasn't bad, and it kept the old
stuff that mattered.
Yeah.
Chris, have you ever looked into that, the Darkness and Witchblade stuff, or Top Cow universe at all?
I mean, I'm aware it exists. That's about as far as I have ever gone.
It's pretty interesting, man. It's like there's like these fundamental forces of that universe, right? So there's the dark, which is personified in the darkness. There's the light.
Oh, clever.
There's the light, which is personified in this creature called the Angelus.
Which I fucking need.
Right, I agree.
Release already.
I agree.
Anyway.
Then there's like the force of magic that's personified in the Witchblade, and then there's kind of like the Magdalena is more so about like I guess religion in a way, but it's more so just humanity within that circle.
There's like 7 artifacts altogether, and those are the main 4. This main 3 Magdalena is the 4th that is now popular.
So it's
because like, Witchblade supposed to be balancing force between the light and the dark,
right? And how they interact between all of them, like it's a fucking good read, and the fact that they're so different, is pretty fantastic. So
and like darkness can't fuck because you might die.
He can. He just can't. He just has to create his own thing to fuck.
Yeah, only if you could. Imagine. Just imagine. Anyone listening? So you're like, you have magic powers now. Anything you can sculpt out of clay, you can turn to life. Now, the only thing you can fuck is something you can sculpt out of clay. How good of a fucking sculptor are you?
I mean, how good of a sculptor do you need to be? Let's be honest.
I'll tell you what. I'm gonna get good. You'll never see me work so hard at a craft. You're just gonna call me Hobby Skullface at that point, because I'm just gonna create so many concubines. He
gave up because he kept making monsters.
Yeah. But he ended up getting good.
Yeah.
But the problem,
you have to, right?
The problem, Chris, is that once you have the darkness in you, so to speak, you if you have sex, the woman that you have sex with becomes instantly impregnated by you. You die, and then that child carries on the darkness.
Yeah,
that sounds pretty complicated.
You can't fuck.
So it's not the greatest circumstance in the world,
especially Jackie Estacado. There we go.
He's
fucking your people.
And he's a cool.
He's like a playboy. He's like a good-looking young mafia guy.
Yeah, He's a cool fucking
He's a
dude
cool
too.
fucker. Hey, you know how I talking about I don't like mafia stuff? I love me some Jackie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's the opposite though. He fights against his own people in the end. Like he fucking grows a conscience and shit.
Yeah, except Jackie and Casino, of course. But like the thing about the darkness in that regard is that at first he just uses the darkness to become the best mafia guy he can be.
He climbs the ladder real quick. He's like become like the number one hit. He was already a hitman, but then like he became a really fucking good hitman.
There's a crossover, Chris, where it's like a Batman Darkness crossover.
Oh yeah.
It's arguably, in my opinion, the best inner like universe crossover that I've ever read.
It's pretty good. I don't usually like crossovers.
Me neither. It's fucking fantastic. But at one point, the Darkness goes to see Joker because he doesn't understand Batman, and he's like, "Well, the best way to understand the guy you want is the guy who hates him." So he goes to Joker to try to figure him out. So he has no idea who the Joker is. He just knows that he's a criminal. So he goes to like the Joker's cell, and when he pops up in the cell, the Joker's like, "Knock knock," and Darkness says, "What?" And he goes, "Knock knock." And he goes, "Who's there?" And he goes, "No, you didn't knock knock." And he's like, "Okay, look, who's Batman and what's all this?" And Joker's like, "This reminds me of a joke. A convention of unconventional nuns stops by a Burger King or something, walks into the Burger King, turns into man-eating sharks, eats the entire staff, eats the entire people that are eating in the restaurant, eats the women, the children, the men, everybody, and then, except for the cashier, who turns to the man-eating sharks that were once nuns and says, 'Would you like fries with that?' And like Darkness is just looking at him, and then like you turn the page, and it's just this big splash page of Joker's face, like up close, and he's like, 'Fries!' and just starts laughing like a maniac. And like Darkness creates these little like creatures. They're called Darklings. They're like they're like these little demonic creatures. And like one of the creatures just looks up. Yeah, they're great. And one of them just looks up at Darkness and goes, 'This guy's creeping me out, boss.'"
I love this little guy.
and they just roll out. It's fucking fantastic. Okay, Joe.
That was a big commercial for people to get into the
Definitely.
darkness universe.
Definitely. And Silvestri did the art for it, so it was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Joe, how was your nerd week?
I've put over 60 hours into Final Fantasy VII.
How far are you?
I beat it yesterday.
Congratulations!
I have to keep playing it. I'm gonna try and get platinum on it. I never care about like trophies on games.
Were you sad that you beat it?
Yeah, because like I could have beat it 2 days ago, but I kept fucking around doing side quests and like fucking walking around, running around doing shit that because I was dreading the end. But I'm gonna replay it on hard mode now that's unlocked, and then there's a bunch of different challenges to do to get platinum, which I'm gonna try and do. So I have at least probably like 40 or 50 more hours to get into that game. The ending, it's controversial. Anyone else who's played the original and played this one, hit me up. We can talk about it. But like there's many theories. It's possible that it's a sequel. It's possible that it's a parallel story. It's possible that it's the same story from the original. Like I think I know a lot of people hate it because you know how if you change anything from the fucking past, people are gonna fucking hate it. I think it's brilliant because if you want just the original story, just go back and play the original game.
It reminds me of
Star Wars.
Well, no, it reminds me of a Jay-Z line. Where he's like, people say they love my old shit. They don't like my new shit. You don't like my new shit? Go buy my old albums.
Right. Right. No, I think it's good because like everything, like it runs parallel to the original. First, I guess, third or quarter part of the story of the original game so far. But they've added a lot of new stuff, which is fleshes out characters, give you more things to do, world builds. But then the end, at the very, very end, it comes to the same conclusion where like now you're going in an open world, you leave the city, you open the world to the next part of the story, but like what happens right before that like could possibly change everything. So like the next game, it might keep following the same story as the original, it might be something completely different. Nobody knows.
Right.
And I need it yesterday, but it's not even been announced yet, so I don't know.
Anything else?
I don't. Not. I got this new. Well, I didn't. I'm using this new headset. I really like Chris. Chris is a full-on gamer girl now. Fucking, she's streaming almost every day. And she got these nice-ass fucking headphones. This is so fucking comfortable.
Nice. Chris,
check her out if you're interested.
Yeah. What's her Twitch?
Well, she games almost every afternoon. She fucking does workout twice a week. She does cooking once a week, and amongst other shit is the Terrible Hime on Twitch. Kelee. You'll find her. Or just look on my page.
There you go.
Or Nerds page. You'll find it.
Chris.
Let's see here. I watched last night it's called The Last Dance. It's a 10-part documentary series about the 1997-98 Chicago Bulls.
Oh, okay.
I know this is far from a sports podcast, but a big part of my childhood was the NBA and the Chicago Bulls in particular. So, a camera crew followed around the 1997-98 Chicago Bulls and documented lots of stuff, and the footage has never been seen until this documentary, which is crazy to think. This was something that was, I think, that was supposed to come out over the summer, like maybe after the NBA wrapped up its season, but obviously they had all the footage, so apparently a bunch of editors have just been busting their ass at home to get it put together, and it's out. So over the next 5 weeks, they're doing 2 episodes a week, and it's funny because They made a point to say that it's graphic in language. They're not bleeping out words on ESPN. But if you need it bleeped out, if you're watching with your kids or whatever, it's on ESPN2 bleeped out. Also, that fills 2 stations with 2 hours of them not playing old card cribbage games or some shit. So
they need to get an esport. That's what they need to fucking do.
They've been doing a little bit of that. But that was entertaining. It was it brought back some memories for sure of those times, and it's a lot of eye-opening stuff. Michael Jordan, this is the first documentary about him really that he has participated in, and they said they sent him. He had I guess rights of first refusal from editing, and they said they sent it to him, and he didn't ask for any redactions. So, he did say that. A lot of people aren't going to like him anymore. Not going to think of him the same after this.
I'm guessing it goes into his gambling problem.
Nah, it hasn't as of yet. But I mean, he's so. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, is it a problem if you have the money? I don't think gambling is a problem unless you're fucking.
Nah, but I think he did have a problem. I think that's part of the reason why he left the NBA the first time. Like
it did affect his life.
I think there was some
speculation
drama
into that this has not gone into. I mean, I watched the first 2 episodes, so a lot of it is like Scottie Pippen signed a 7-year contract, which is unheard of today, for $18 million back in 91. That would have carried him through 98, and by the time 98 comes around, he's the probably second best player in the league, debatably. Definitely worth more, and he's like the 122nd highest paid player in the league. And the owner of the Bulls is like, I told these guys, you sign these deals, don't come back looking for more money because you agreed to it.
Right.
And honestly, Scotty he's one of 12 kids. It's a pretty sad story. I didn't know this. His father had a stroke at the dinner table and was in a wheelchair the rest of his life. His oldest brother, maybe sitting next to oldest brother, got hurt in a roughhousing incident in school and was paralyzed. So 2 people in his house were in a wheelchair. You know what? If he could get that money and help his family out, I'm sure he just took every penny he could for security. That's what he said. I wanted to make sure I could take care of everybody.
Right.
Yeah. Security reasons will make you. I mean, that's what contracts are.
Exactly.
You worry about not getting it, so you put yourself. I mean, that's the same story with a lot of music things, right, Bobby?
Yeah.
People sign contracts to labels and then they get fucked.
Yeah, they get fucked over time. But anyways, I didn't even really know that this was coming out till they talked about it on one of the morning shows when I was helping the kids with school or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see it. It's just some good memories for me from back in the day. It's at a good time. I don't think did I watch anything else. Nothing really of any interest I can think of. It seems like I watched something with the kids, a kids movie, but I can't remember what it was. Kelly and I have been working a lot on dioramas. We have, as of this morning, I think 35 of these mythic pieces to make.
Holy shit.
So that's been
you're rolling in dough, is what you're saying.
Well, I'm not rolling in dough yet. I have to, but I have to do the supply runs and whatnot, and pay for the supplies. And I have some upgrades for my machine. I actually should take the time to put on that. I could do more at once, but nonetheless, I did. I order the PVC I use. I order it from a relatively local supplier. They deliver it for free, and they will cut it to size. So one of my big dilemmas with all this stuff using the machine is waste. Now, I know some people benefit from my waste, but
so to speak.
But the PVC stuff, obviously, you guys have no use for the majority of it as it comes. So, the Autobot and Decepticon, the Nemesis and the Arc backers. And I don't know why I didn't think about this. And the floor piece for this is PVC as well. So instead of having these, I have them cut these sheets down where they'll fit in my machine instead of a 4x8 sheet, which is a ridiculous thing for me to have to deal with, made out of PVC. So I just had one of those middle of the night wake up. Why don't you just have them cut the shit the size you need, dumbass? So that's what I did. I ordered material that is about an inch bigger all the way around. That way I can, tape it down on the machine and just cut out my piece and have a very minimal amount of waste. So it's funny how the mind works. But yeah, that's really it, man. Just been, working on this shit and, playing Principal and keeping the kids, trying to keep their sanity. And I have a hard time shuffling cards because I have giant hands.
Really?
I've never been able to shuffle cards very well.
Oh, I'd love to watch you fiddle fuck your way through that. It'd be like it would be like, so everybody gets to watch my giant hands fiddle fuck their way through something like 2 to 3 times a week. It would be like I would get to enjoy that.
So I went out of my way and bought a card shuffling machine.
Wow!
Oh, you are flexing.
Let me tell you, once you slip that crank in and turn that handle, it's magic.
Thanks, Trump.
And I also I went ahead and applied the Viva Las Vegas sticker it came with right over the center to make it official.
Sure.
But I mean, it's So that was the weird flex purchase of the week, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's really it for me.
So I played this game. I've been playing it all week with the kids, off and on, called Spot It. It's fucking awesome. Okay. So kind of. So it's this deck of circular cards, and they have there's 30 symbols, right? There's like a tree and a clover and a ghost and a happy face and a nose symbol and a cactus, et cetera, right? And each circle has 6 symbols on it. And every card matches with every other card at least once. I think only once. So I don't even understand how the math works on it. I'm sure it's some formula, but it blows my mind because I'm a simpleton. And there's a number of games you can play with it. One is you have a deck, you put 2 cards out, and you try to find the match, and then you take them in your pile, and whoever has the most cards at the end wins. Then there's a number of different variations of the game. But it's even Leia can play it, you know what I mean, to an extent. So we've all been playing it and having a fucking blast. So yeah, so that's it. I might record a round for Patreon because the baby at a certain point just gets frustrated and just starts lying to win. It's pretty fantastic. Okay, so
how long till you bust out the Monopoly?
Well, she's got a long way to go. She's still working on Spot It. So Robert D actually has suggested a great amount of movies to me that I've really enjoyed. So when he suggests something to me, I usually hold it in pretty high regard. Well, that might change after this week.
Uh-oh.
He asked me to watch The Circle, which is a Netflix trash reality show. And he was like, look.
Reality show has already lost me there.
Correct. So he was like, look, you're going to hate the first episode, but by the time you get to the second episode, it's just fun. So I hated the first episode so much, I turned it off halfway through, and I will never, ever go back. I was like, my time would be better spent clipping my toenails. It would just be a better use of my time. So do not watch it. It's a fucking waste. I watched In the Band Played On. which was a recommendation from Jisk about the rise of the HIV virus in America.
That's an old movie.
Yes, it is. I had never seen it. Loved it. Fell asleep a whole bunch of times during it just because I'm old and half drunk and trash. But watched it, loved it. Great fucking movie. Had no idea about the drama that went on behind the scenes regarding it. Between, like, because France and America were kind of on the cusp of discovering it. And, like, it's just, like, who fought for credit of this, you know what I mean? It's such a disaster. The CDC, the whole bit. It's just, I mean, it's I'm sure it mirrors what's going on today in many ways. I watched Clone Wars. Obviously, I've been watching that every week.
Is it over yet?
No. So, Joe, the two of the three arcs are over. The third arc just started. I watched the first. It was only the first episode that's up. It might be the best Clone Wars episode ever made.
How many more episodes is there?
3 more.
Okay.
It's so fucking good. Like, the implications of the shit that goes on in that episode and, like, what it means regarding Sidious, Ahsoka, the Mandalorians, Maul, Anakin, Obi-Wan, like, right at the beginning of the battle of episode 3 and, Palpatine's kind of puppeteering of all of that, along with what's going on with Ahsoka, along with what's going on with Bo-Katan, and, like, it's so unbelievably good. It's a Jeff Johns moment.
So so that's when it takes place? It takes place right before episode 3?
Yes, like that episode. I think it's going to go up through the Order 66, but that episode takes place like 30 seconds before episode 3 starts.
I've got to honestly, it's not on my mental radar that even is happening. I don't know why. I don't know. Yeah, the Clone Wars series.
I think it might be the Rona. Like, I
blame it on the Rona.
Well, I do in a way because, like,
well, I don't know, Bobby, because, like, I was sat down to watch that Bulls thing, and Kelly's like, "Look, I love you. This isn't my thing. It's before my time." I said, "No, it's fine. I don't expect you to sit here, and I'd probably rather you not sit there and ask me a bunch of questions than, especially if you don't really care." But she said, "I wish they would have just put it all out at once," and I said, "I'm glad they didn't because it gives me something to look forward to every week."
Right.
But I don't know why I don't have that mindset around the Star Wars bit.
But then you start watching that?
Start watching what?
Huh?
Clone Wars?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched like the first 2 or 3 episodes one day, and
okay.
Even when I'm like, "Oh shit, I want something to watch. What should I watch?" It doesn't even, for some reason, it's not even registering.
Is it because you're not thinking about Disney Plus? Maybe
I'm gonna write Clone Wars on my hand.
Dude, this fucking episode, like, I can't get over how good it is.
Well, don't spill the beans.
I'm not. But so I'll say this: the first arc is great. The second arc is fine. This third arc is on its way to being amazing. But I've seen people complaining about it, but, like, it's kind of consistent with what Clone Wars has always been. There's, like, it's not like, well, it's not that, like, every episode of Clone Wars the cartoon is great. There's plenty of mediocre and average ass episodes. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It kind of just feels like, it kind of just feels like part of the same. It really does feel like the show is just continuing. You know, like, this is how it would go. I will say that the middle arc is obviously the one that most people are not enjoying the most, myself included. But the third episode of that one is dark as fuck. Maybe the darkest Clone Wars episode. Like, it's just, like, it's brutal. And
there's some pretty dark fucking Clone Wars.
Agreed. But this is up there. This is at least in top 5. Like, torture and fucking, like, beheadings and, like, classic Clone Wars. Like, it's just, it's rough. But that overall arc is kind of fine. It's the problem with that arc is that everything but the last 5 minutes is kind of inconsequential to the whole thing overall, whereas the first arc is very consequential, and this fucking Siege of Mandalore arc is fucking wet dream shit.
Yeah, I need to. I guess I'll watch the first arc. I guess I'll watch the first 3. Is that the ones about the Bad Batch?
I think, yeah, it's the first 4. I think that are
okay. Well.
4.
I'm going to make a concerted. I'm going to make a concerted effort to try to watch that. I may actually if I'm working in the shop today, put it on the headphones and watch it.
Yeah, it's quite good. I finished off my X-Force diorama, which
I like it.
Thanks, man.
I like the damaged building looks right, because sometimes it's like
that damaged building shit's hard to get right, and you did a good job with it.
Thanks.
Like, sometimes it makes it feel like the fucking thing is like it's just been like space mud.
Right, it's too much.
Yeah, but yours is good. I like it.
So I'll tell you what I did. What the fuck?
The hell was that?
He said, "Dear Rebecca," that's what it was.
I'll tell you what the what I did for that I'm happy that I did is at first I was just gonna go with like piles of rubble and all this kind of shit, but I was like, no, look, I'm just gonna make the buildings, and then I'm gonna cut away the damage from the buildings, and that is going to be the rubble.
Yep, that's if you had asked me, that's exactly what I would have told you to do.
That way, it's not too much. It seems appropriate.
It's just the right amount.
Yeah. So and I got to give credit to Laura because she's the one that made. She was like, just do the forced perspective of the buildings going back.
Dude, that is great. I liked it when I first saw it. I'm like, oh shit, that shit blends right the fuck in.
So I was kind of like hemming and hawing and dragging my feet on that idea, but that's totally her idea to do.
I mean, it's hard, like when you do an open space, like to know what to do with the sidewalls.
Correct. I'm started a new one that I'm excited about doing. Like I don't know, it's very I having this time at home and getting to work on the projects and like putting them in the shelf and like finally having a shelf that you've been looking at and not like kind of like, oh, this is a fine shelf of shit, and then seeing it kind of come to life is I'm enjoying it very much. And then I have a gift discussion to approach with you guys.
A gift.
Yes. So here is my question. If I give you a gift, Joe, let's say I give you I'm trying to think of
Stormtrooper salt and pepper shaker.
Okay, let's do that. What was it? Stormtrooper salt and pepper shaker, right?
Yeah, because you got some of those, right?
Yeah, thanks, Robert. So I give you a Stormtrooper salt and pepper shaker, okay? And you're never going to put salt in it, ever.
Okay.
You have a salt shaker that actually crushes fresh salt, so you have no interest in having a separate salt shaker that looks like a Stormtrooper helmet.
Yep.
Okay, but I've given it to you as a gift, and you love me, and you don't want to throw away something that I've given you,
right?
If you are making let's say you're making a Mandalorian diorama, and you take my salt shaker Stormtrooper helmet, you crack off half of it and stick the other half on a skewer and put it in your diorama, and now it's like a part of.
I think that's great.
Is that okay?
I think that's great. I mean, if that was reversed, if it was me and you, I'd be like, oh, that's awesome. Like, my shit is part of your permanent thing.
Chris, how do you feel?
Well, I'm of two minds. If it's a gift I gave you, it's just something I purchased. I would probably have less feelings about it than if I made something for you. And then maybe that's just immediately where my mind goes. Honestly, if I give you a gift, I don't give a shit what you do with it. I really don't. It's up to you. I'd rather you not go on the internet and bash me for giving you the gift, but past that, I don't really care.
Like I do with Robert.
Pretty much. but that's just the gag of this.
Right. I'll tell you why. So I've acquired through gifts that are all some of the shit that I get through gifts. I'm like, man, what am I going to do with this? And I just end up storing it because I don't have nothing is springing to mind as a way to kind of incorporate it into my collection, right? Luckily, Robert has given me so much trash that I can have my own trash display of Robert's gifts.
Yes.
But when I get something nice, you know what I mean? That I'm like, I don't give a fuck about this other than the fact that this person gave it to me and exposed me to something. So let me cut to the chase. Over the years, I've acquired 3 Gundam-esque things, right? One model kit, one figure, and then one metal build, which I think is I don't know if it's metal, but it's something else, right? It's not Gundam, something that orange and white thing.
Oh, Full Metal Panic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've acquired those 3 things. And I just sort of had them on a shelf, and because I like the way they look. I've always liked the way the Gundams have looked, right? But it doesn't, other than the fact that these people have given it to me, especially the fire one, right? Because that was like somebody saying like this guy and your personality are in the same pocket. Shout out to James. Other than that, I don't have any real connection to them, right? Or meaning, and they're on this shelf because I have an empty shelf and I can look at them. But I've thought of something I can do with them that might be super fucking cool. But it would definitely take me changing what they are, as of right this moment.
You have to break them?
No, I won't have to break them. It would involve glue and paint.
So you're going to make a pile of parts for one of your dioramas?
Well, no, because I'm not going to have to break them.
I don't see. I mean, you might want to ask them, but personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
They're never going to see you again anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So let me tell you what I want to do. I don't know if let me tell you what I want to do. I want to do a diorama for my Galvatron shelf of him at Starscream's coronation. And I want to glue them in place as the statues, like the random robot statues that are obviously past, and then paint them as statues. And then they're like part of my collection. They have a purposeful place, but I have fundamentally devalued them in a strictly financial way.
And the value of it
goes up in a sentimental way.
Exactly, sentimentally, yes. I think it goes up.
Yes, I agree. How do you feel about that, Chris? What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I think you can do whatever you want. I mean,
Chris doesn't even care what his own shit is.
I mean, I think it is. As far as feelings and whatnot, look, if somebody gives you a gift and it's something you're not into, and you repurpose it into a manner where you're going to get enjoyment out of it, I think that is the best gift of all.
Oh, I agree. I
would prefer someone do that, like versus someone. Me thinking, shit, man, I got him something and they don't like it, and then I.
It's like all these foam scraps.
Something and they could use it. That's great.
That would be like me giving you the foam scraps and being mad that you made something out of them. And not cherish the foam scraps.
The scraps of your scraps, I'm going to put in a shadow box.
That's right. It might be worth something someday.
Crashbox original.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into news. There's not much to talk about, but
news. I'm just so surprised every week that there's news at all.
Yeah, there's not much to talk about, but there are a few things. So, one, more Jim Lee news. So this is interesting to me. IDW Publishing announces Jim Lee's X-Men Artist Edition.
Yeah, I saw that too. That's very odd.
It's going to celebrate the dynamic artwork of industry icon Jim Lee with the addition of Jim Lee's X-Men Artist Edition and his multiple Eisner Award-winning AE line. Nearly 30 years ago, Jim Lee joined with Chris Claremont, blah, 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 blah. And he made, the greatest fucking whatever, like X-Men run ever. The Artist Edition will include the entire complete...
Whoa. Hold up.
No, I was standing up. My freaking back's killing me.
Oh, I thought I thought a UFO landed in your room.
Yeah.
No, that's that IKEA. That's that IKEA money just talking to you.
This artist edition will include
that IKEA drip. Sorry.
will include the entire complete story from the best-selling comic book of the modern era. Additionally, this book will include scans of gorgeous original artwork from some of Jim Lee's best and most iconic issues, covers, splashes, pinups, interior pages. Each page has been meticulously scanned from Lee's original art for his book, affording the reader the insight into his creative process. As with all artist editions, each gorgeous page will be reproduced from scans of the original art, printed at the same size they were drawn, with all the distinctive creative nuances that made the original art unique, et cetera, et cetera. So let me tell you, I'm super interested in this, right? Outside of that, here's what I don't quite understand. What? Jim Lee owns DC basically at this point, and Marvel owns X-Men. How is IDW publishing this?
A neutral third party.
Honestly, that may be it, Joe. It might have been a come to Jesus. Well, but Marvel owns that artwork, though, right? I mean, unless
it owns the licensing of the characters, but like, is it fan art at this point?
It's not the first time I've seen like IDW or Dark Horse do something that seemed very out of. Oh, this is so bad, so out of character. So I don't know. It's strange. I mean, I'm sure it's an $80 or $90 book when it comes out.
I would guess something around there.
And maybe Marvel is getting something, you know, that it's not talked about in the deal.
I'm sure there's some lubrication in that deal.
Yeah. Yeah. There has to be. There has to be.
So like they just don't want to talk about the nitty gritty of it and just, you know, have people accept that that's coming out because it might be a thing because like a small third party like. If DC was the one to do it, Marvel would probably be like, no, fuck you. You know,
right.
IDW, Marvel was like, I guess, that's fine. You can have a little something.
Do we think that, side note, what comic book companies survived this?
As
Marvel's going to survive, right? We agree?
Yeah, Marvel and DC.
Okay. Image?
Obviously.
I'd like to see what their print sales actually are.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
I don't even know how to do it. Like, I feel like they're just gonna be around because they just sell just enough to be there.
I would say Image is probably going to survive, but I am very concerned about IDW. Like, I don't know if that company is big enough to withstand something like this.
It's whatever. Hasbro can pay them. They're fucking dead to me.
Yeah, I hear you. I
mean, they ruined it. I think they ruined it. I really think like I got out of and I was just as into Transformers as any of the most diehard Transformers collectors out there. At that point, as soon as that shit happened, like it fucking turned me off. Like I just stopped buying Transformers shit.
Can you be more specific about what turned you off? Because I'm honestly not.
Combiner Wars.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when
like that happened, and I was still holding on to like,
so when Hasbro said nope, we're gonna make books about toys, that's what turned you off?
Yeah. And gotcha. The story heavily suffered, and
agreed.
I still held on. I'm like, it's okay, it's just one arc, and it's gonna change. And then the next arc hit, and I'm like, oh fuck. And then I was like, there was 2 books. There was Morning Meets the Eye and Robots in Disguise. I'm like, well, I can give up this one since they're obviously doing Hasbro stuff, and hold on to this other thing. And like even them, they were fucking. Yeah.
The other thing began to deteriorate as well.
Yeah, and I was fucking done. I was, and I felt like I just wasted time and money sunk into a thing that fucking didn't go nowhere.
There was a time when Hasbro was following the lead of IDW and creating toys based on what they were doing in those books, and then at Combiner Wars, it flip-flopped.
And it fucking became terrible. Yeah. But the other way around was great because like I loved the Chug's Drift when it came out. I'm like, whoa, what is this?
That the Springer still, I think, one of Hasbro's best offerings.
Yeah. So and then they turned around, and then as predicted, it fucking got shitty.
I mean, even
sure, IDW didn't have that much of a say in it. I'm sure like Hasbro
for sure
worked their hand, but still they still did to me. I don't care.
Even like not for nothing, that Brainstorm that they did.
Brainstorm is perfect.
It looks great.
It you can't put it in the bad pose way. It doesn't look like Brainstorm from the IDW.
Agreed.
Yeah, they did some. I mean, some of that stuff that came out of that Generations line was really good.
Yeah.
So Hasbro ruined it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so here we go with speaking of Jim Lee and the business of comics. Diamond isn't the only thing being selected these days.
Oh,
you like that? You fucking
yes,
come on.
Actually, pretty good, man. I gotta give it to you.
On April 17th, Diamond Comic Distributors currently shut down due to the coronavirus. Announces tentatively to resume business mid to late May. Shortly thereafter, DC announced it would bring print books back to participating comic shops beginning on April 28th. Now, Comic Book Resources has confirmed DC is doing that not through an exclusive deal with Diamond, but with 2 new distributors. DC informed retailers that Lunar Distribution and UCS Comic Distribution will be distributing the new print titles, beginning with those going on sale April 28th. Notably, Lunar and UCS Lunar and UCS, both having seemingly shown up from nowhere, are sister companies of Discount Comic Book Services and Midtown Comics, respectively, which both specialize in mail order through Midtown, though Midtown also has a number of storefronts. But, like, I think this is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because Diamond needs competition.
They do. Because there's jackasses.
Like, it's a fucking monopoly and has been a monopoly forever. And I think I'm going against the Baltimore Grain here because I'm pretty sure that it's Geppy that fucking owned Diamond, that started Diamond.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Geppy closed down, though.
They closed their comic book stores because I think they didn't need them anymore.
They're based out of South Haven, Mississippi, outside of Memphis.
Their museum closed, I thought, too.
Yes. Well, they moved the museum did close, and they moved all of the shit over to a kind of Americana museum in Washington, D.C. But, like, I think it's just like, it's fucking like all right, so, my mind instantly goes to music, right? Like, BMI ASCAP has been distributing music since what they say, since Jesus was in short pants, right? Like, and like they didn't really have competition until these streaming services had become a thing.
Yeah.
But for years they operated pretty much owning the market, and Diamond has been doing the same thing, and as a result, it's been able to do whatever the fuck it wants, as almost like Comcast does here. You know what I mean?
And I've heard, like, I've never heard anything but bad things about Diamond from.
Correct. So it's just nice to see. It's nice to see a fucking like some competition, like just some fucking Like if these two companies are able to get up and running, and we have three major companies distributing comic book goods, like that's a good thing for the culture.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't have a ton of. I'll tell you from a business standpoint, I have been the victim of Diamond shenanigans more than once because they Mezco has a distribution deal with them. I don't know the details of it, but they do preview exclusives, which are normally variants of, like, for example, they did the Hal Jordan Green Lantern was a previews exclusive. That's the only way you could get it. You couldn't order it through Mezco. And to buy that from a wholesale standpoint, you can go through Entertainment Earth. And lose money, like because they have to buy from Diamond, and then there's like literally I would lose money on them if I wholesaled through the previous job
and everything, right?
And to get an account with them is, while not necessarily hard, there's minimum requirements and is a serious pain in the ass. Right. So they're known to short people. Like, they'll solicit orders way past what they know is coming.
Oh yeah.
So there's no love lost for me with Diamond.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that Mezco has a deal with them because it's almost like if you want your shit in comic book stores at a reasonable price, you have to have a deal with Diamond. You know, like, and that's the problem.
In comic books mafia.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
Because I applied for a job at Diamond, back before I got my job with the state, like 2005. Because their main office used to be in Towson, and I applied for a job with them, and I got an interview, but then they shot me down. I think they saw that I was just there for the free shit. Like, I think at one point I was like, "Look, you can just pay me in statues." I think I actually said that at one point, like trying to make a joke and have some like buddy shit with the person interviewing me, but I think it turned them off. Anyway, all right, and then I think our last note is things are looking dark. Justice League Dark TV show from Abrams moving forward at HBO Max. So I'll tell you what I like about this and what I don't like about this. I like that HBO is going to do more DC shows. HBO makes a high quality product. They have huge production budgets. They give a fuck. At this point, I'm not sure if I want to see J.J. Abrams touch anything I like anymore. That's my own thing. But overall, I'm not mad at the idea of more kind of adult themed shit regarding this stuff on a platform. I'm good with that conception.
Yeah, me too.
Any thoughts on that whatsoever, Chris?
Say again now?
Any thoughts whatsoever on that?
No, none.
I prefer him just work more on his fucking own Cloverfield universe. I'm interested in that property.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, I liked the new Star Trek movies a lot.
I did too.
I like Episode 7, but I'm not a big fan of 9.
Right.
I like it just because it's Star Wars and it is fun to watch, but like as a story and as a part of the fucking everything else, like it's lacking a lot, or it's got a lot of flaws.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into some questions. This is from our good friend Chevy 4x4 at with Sean D's Body Shop, Botty. Hello and good morning, NRR crew. I hope the Rona has been kind to you and yours. Here's a question for you all.
I'm sorry. That's a very odd way to say that.
It has. Me at least.
Okay, so I'm going to read the postscript first. His P.S. is that bitch Carol Baskins totally killed her husband.
Side note, I watched that last episode of that. That's like the interview or whatever.
Yeah, I tried. I couldn't.
It wasn't great.
Yeah,
is it true that they're reopening the case?
Yeah, that's true.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Top 3 movie breasts that would be your personal porn movie favorite.
Wait, top 3 movie
that would be your the top 3. I'm guessing from this breast reveal
nudity scene
yes.
like from a mainstream movie.
Yes.
that exists.
Yes.
That would be what was the last part of the question?
That would be your personal favorites.
There was I can't always forget her name ever since she became Catwoman.
Halle Berry?
No, not at all.
Anne Hathaway?
Oh, Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, there's one with her, and then there's several with Eva Green that are great.
Okay. I think
Eva Green has a great set. I'm just saying.
I don't even know who that is.
Not afraid to show it. She was on the Rise of the 300, the sequel.
I don't know if I ever saw that.
It's good.
But she's in other stuff too, and she's showing her boobs. Like she's a good actress.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna look up her IMDb real quick. You got to know who this is. I'm sure you know who this is. You just probably don't know her by name.
This isn't necessarily the most noteworthy, but I think it's because it's some of the ones that I studied the most as a young lad. But the foursome scene in Bram Stoker's Dracula with the 3 brides of Dracula and Keanu. There's one young lady in that scene in particular, the long brunette-haired gal whose chest is permanently etched in my mind. And it's often when anybody talks about that part of the female anatomy, it's the first set that comes to mind.
What about Denise Richards and Wild Things in the threesome scene?
Oh yeah, that was a big deal.
Right?
That was a big deal.
She was in Penny Dreadful. Eva Green. She was in 300 Rise of Empire, Sin City.
Oh yeah, she's definitely in Sin City.
Shadow. She was in She was in Casino Royale. She was the main female lead in that James Bond movie.
I'm trying to think of any other I'm not a big titty person. It's just not my. That's not my go-to.
What? You're not a big what person?
A chess person,
yeah.
It's not my go-to. It's I've said this before, but there'll be plenty of times where Laura and I will walk out of a store, and Laura will be like, "God, you see the rack on her?" And I will say, "Nope, didn't notice it at all." I can tell you she had a necklace on with her name in cursive, and that wasn't doing anything for me. It's just not my go-to.
So,
go ahead.
So it's weird. It's both for me. It's not my go-to in the sense that I don't have particular preference of the kind. Some people like big, some people like small, some people like medium. But I am a big fan in the fact that I like them all.
Yeah,
if there's boobs, I'm in it.
Was Scarlett Johansson ever topless?
Oh, no, I think so. Yeah.
Was it in a movie called Closer?
Yeah. I don't know what the name of the movie.
No. It was called Match Point, I think, which is a pretty good movie, by the way. I
haven't seen the movie, but they're like, yeah, she's up there. Yeah.
And Natalie Portman, I think, strips in the movie Closer, which is why I get that, because that's another one that comes to mind is like celebrity.
She doesn't get naked though.
No, she does not.
But see, I don't know if you count, because like you can see.
Right, I think she has
pasties. Some celebrities' boobs are from like leaks or whatever, but like I'm not sure if that counts.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Like, almost straightly that you've seen in movies, but yeah, Scarjo is up there.
Yeah. Chris, you got any offerings?
Katie Holmes in The Gifted.
Yes, I forgot about that.
I'm a fan of Jamie Lee Curtis in Trading Places.
Really?
Really?
Oh yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis, like she's a handsome.
That's why you asked about it. That's why you asked.
Did.
Yeah.
Ask how it. Yeah. And let me think. Nah, I can't think of anything else right off the top. I mean, the Anne Hathaway, when she was a dope head or whatever. I remember that.
Love and Other Drugs.
I don't remember the name of the movie.
Yeah, I just remembered the boobs.
Yeah, I think she got naked in Love and Other Drugs. Okay, next question from Rudy. Rudy A. He said, "Sup?"
I remember being able to boobs for the rest of the goddamn day.
Sup, nerds? Hope everything is well. Recently, my uncle was looking to get some Legends of the Sinister Six, so we had to pick who the Six would be. I don't read comics, so I really couldn't make up a list. Seeing as they change, who would be on your guys' list? And then he said, "Fuck it, while we're at it, who's your Suicide Squad?" Oh, he has a postscript too. Bobby, now that the Joe Button isn't doing his 2 weekly podcasts, I'm going to need you guys to step it up.
Did Button, are they not doing anything?
Nope. He said, jokes aside, keep up the great content, guys, and stay safe.
Why is Button not doing anything at all?
Because they record in the same room.
Oh, they're not willing to do like what we're doing?
Any sacrifices, motherfuckers?
Yeah, I think so. So they're obviously in a different bracket, right? Because that's their salary now.
Right.
And I think that, like, while I think that we have made this work, I don't think that this is performing at the same level when we're all sitting here together.
Oh, no, it's definitely not as good.
It's not
as good.
And I think
it's not a good recording anyway.
Right. And I think that matters more for them in regard to their brand, and they're up for renegotiations, I also think, with their contract. So I think
they'd rather not put out anything and not get paid versus like tarnish their name and then fuck up the future.
Right.
It's a smart move and it's a better move.
Right. But we will continue because we're not getting paid. Because we're not getting paid. So what was the question again? Oh, so my Sinister Six.
Squad.
Yes, yeah. My Sinister Six is definitely the Eric Larson run Sinister Six.
What's the Green Goblin?
That's the Hobgoblin, Doc Ock, of course, Sandman, Electro, Mysterio, and why am I drawing a blank?
Craven?
No, I don't think so. Why am I drawing a blank? Give me 2 seconds. I have a picture here handy. Okay. Vulture, Sandman, Hobgoblin, Electro, Ock, Vulture, Mysterio.
I don't know. Rhino was in mine. Whatever the fucking meme with the trolley faces. That's my Sinister Six.
I'm sorry. I just found a wiki article. There has been how many? 15 versions of the Sinister Six.
Yes. There's been many.
Yeah.
But like, do any other member? Like, I know Craven is in a lot of people's.
Well, the original 6 was Doc Ock, Electro, Craven, Mysterio, Sandman, and Vulture, and I think that's what a lot of people go with. And you just replaced, so the second one is I think what you said: Doc Ock, Electro, Hobgoblin, Mysterio, Sandman, and Vulture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the third one includes someone named Gog. The fuck is Gog? Let's see. Gog is what? I don't know who Gog is. Somebody that Craven found in the Savage Land. Okay.
And I think it purely comes down to when I was reading the comics. You know, like,
right.
And when I was reading the comics, that's who it was. Suicide Squad's a bit trickier because I was never really super into them in the comics.
So I read when they restarted everything, not New 52, whatever they're in right now. Rebirth. I started picking up the comics based on, I like the movie.
Right.
But that's been around since I think the 70s, maybe?
Yeah, it's been around forever.
87 actually. My bad. That is when it came out. So, I mean, I think that in my mind it's, Harley's in it. But she wasn't already all the time.
Like Deadshot's like the one, and like for some reason, the Killer Shark or whatever, like that guy, like he's always in it to me. But like I'm not super attached to that title.
So here's a list of everyone who was in the original Suicide Squad that ran from 87 to 92, and this was the Amanda Waller squad here. So Amanda Waller, Rick Flag, Bronze Tiger.
Bronze Tiger
is a supervillain and anti-hero. Yeah. Captain Boomerang, Count Vertigo, Deadshot, Joker, Dr. Light, Duchess, Enchantress, Julie, Nemesis, Nightshade, Oracle, Poison Ivy, Punch, Raven, but it's Ravan, Shade the Changing Man, Thinker 2, and Vixen.
Vixen's a cool character.
They did 66 issues in the first run, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have much to offer on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you go with the movie. That's probably the ones I'm most, familiar with.
Yeah, they become iconic ones. I think just like Avengers, I think most people would say the movie Avengers are the iconic Avengers now.
Yeah.
Even though everyone in the mom's been Avengers.
Oh, for sure.
So the current team is Captain Boomerang, Deadshot, Enchantress, Harley Quinn, Katana, and Killer Croc. So essentially, everybody was in the movie, but was it Slipknot, the guy who got killed in like the first scene?
Yeah, and Flag, right?
And Flag.
And Flag in my head is part of the Suicide Squad too. Like in my head, like when I think of Suicide Squad, like I think of Deadshot, Flag, the Shark. But like, and I think I always put Harley in it now, but I think that's mainly due to the movie, and then she's been in it kind of consistently, I think, in the comics ever since.
Right.
Next one is from The Good Minister. No, I'm sorry, it's from Calico Kid, then The Minister. He said, "Hey guys, I've been meaning to send this question in for a bit, but work's been a little ... busy. So if you had to make a soundtrack for your life, Volume 1, what three songs from each? Oh God! What three songs from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s would you pick for your 12-song soundtrack? Songs that mean something or resonated with you or otherwise made an impact on your life. Okay, I'm gonna try to go off.
Shit.
I'm gonna try to go off the cuff.
So hang on. So this is 3 songs for each decade.
Yep, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010.
Oh boy. Okay.
All right, so for the 80s, it's 100% going to be Billie Jean is going to be on there. To be fair, probably Instruments of Destruction because I played that shit all the time as a kid. And then I would say Mama Said Knock You Out, 89, I think that was, and that was definitely constantly in rotation.
Why don't you let us each go by decade?
Okay, all right. Well, I was trying to give you guys time, but yep, go.
Totally buy on each other. Joe, do you have the 80s or?
I mean, in the 80s, I wasn't aware of music enough. I wasn't even in this country, so like, music was very different to me. Like growing up, like I listened to what my parents listened to, but like I don't think there's particularly anything that stands out.
Right.
Rod Stewart and fucking Barry Manilow and fucking Bryan Adams, like all that shit I heard all the time, and I liked them, but I wouldn't call them my soundtrack.
I would say, I'm sorry, Joe.
I'm just saying, in the 80s, I'm just a different person then.
So I'm kind of in the same bucket with the 80s. I listened to a lot of the music my parents listened to, but things that come to mind right away is some Huey Lewis kind of. I mean, like The Power of Love for some reason comes to mind, and I don't know why. And probably a lot of the songs I listened to in the 80s weren't from the 80s. Like I know The Gambler by Kenny Rogers was one of my favorite songs. It actually came out in 1978, though.
There's part of the rules that it has to come from a decade that. Or is it just?
I don't. Doesn't seem to be.
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
Okay, so I'd say, The Gambler, Kenny Rogers, and I'm trying to think because it all just kind of blurs in together. I probably definitely went down to Georgia by Charlie Daniels. I listened to that a lot as a child, and let's say Thriller by Michael Jackson. Definitely remember that one.
For the 90s, I would say Wu-Tang Clan's Cream, 9 Inch Nails, Wish, and DMX. I just chose Stop Being Greedy, but really any DMX. When DMX came out in 98, I pretty much listened to that until the year 2000.
I'm not a nice person.
Yeah, there was two. I have the 2 CDs. I know he has like 3 or maybe 4. I don't know, but I have the first 2.
Yeah. Those were the important. They were the important ones.
The song, yeah, right. The only one that really counts. It's hard to pick the song more than, like you said, like either an artist or a record, because like nowadays, oftentimes we listen to a song at a time, whereas I remember back in the day, you threw a tape on, you fucking listen to the goddamn thing,
right?
Or a CD. You're not really skipping around too much. So I would, unplug. I'd listen to the entirety of Unplugged in New York over and over and over again until like the tape wore down.
Right.
That entire thing. Same with Poe, the CD. I listened to that a shit ton, and Metallica, Justice for All. I wore that shit down too. Those are the 3 records.
Right.
And I listen to a lot of DMX and shit in the car, but like I wouldn't stay like when I'm not in the car, just on my own walking around. I would put him on. But it's just driving music.
Right. Chris?
I'd say for the 90s, I'd go with, NWA's last album. The name which Lee Phil Porter's Dragon. There you go.
Yep.
As an album, from a song, gosh, there's so much, man. The 90s is really hard.
That's our generation.
That's so.
The 90s is us.
If I'm gonna boil it down, to the 90s, I'm gonna say Nothing But a G Thing.
That's fair.
And I'm gonna say, oh man, that's so much to pick from. It's like I feel like I'm offending every artist.
How much fucking boy band do you listen to, man? Like, I still listen to boy band.
Honestly, I listen to more boy band than I probably should admit to, but
I listen to a lot, just as much as I listen to anything else.
Tearing Up My Heart.
Fuck yeah, and Sync, fucking Backstreet Boys, fucking that one song from O Town, shit, 98. I'd listen to all that shit. I don't give a fuck what you say.
So I'd say the Black Album by Metallica. So probably Sad But True. I'd probably say Sad But True, because that's just such a fucking hard song. And
back and forth between Justice for All and Black Album, right?
Yeah, and let me think of one more actual song. Gosh, I'm just gonna throw something wild out there. I'm gonna say Informer by Snow.
Informer.
A Licky Boom Boom Down.
Who's the best boy band?
I have to say NSYNC.
I'd say NSYNC for just in the maybe their first 2 albums, because like the Backstreet Boys actually are still putting out music.
Yeah, they're a close fucking second, man. They're neck and neck for me.
The difference is NSYNC had a breakout star, and nobody from the Backstreet Boys ever had any single success.
Well, I have 2 questions regarding that because it changes the confines of that conversation for me. Is New Edition a boy band?
Yes.
Is the Jackson 5 a boy band?
Ooh.
Yeah, technically they are.
Maybe they're the father or grandfather of boy band.
Right. So that's my thing. If those 2 are, then those 2 certainly take the cake for me.
Yeah, not for me. I don't think they're like. I mean, like,
But
I don't.
I
There's
also
like
think that that's
Jackson 5 songs that I know. I would never play an entire fucking Jackson 5 album. I definitely play an entire NSYNC or
I
Backstreet
definitely
Boy
am
album.
not playing an entire NSYNC or Backstreet Boys album. I'm not even playing an NSYNC or Backstreet Boys song, to be honest. But
New Kids on the Block.
But I think that boy bands, it's like, for me anyway, it's like, I would probably say that, and once again, the conversation between favorite and best, I think, is always different.
It's hard. That's hard when it comes to artistic stuff.
But I do think that it's like, it has to do with that time in your life where you start flirting with girls and. You know, so when I think of the greatest and best boy band, to me, New Edition is the first thing that comes to mind, because that's the shit that was playing when I started writing girls' notes.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So I guess that was because I think boy band definitely depend on age. Because you talk to someone 5-6 years older than us, they probably say New Kids on the Block, but New Kids on the Block isn't on my radar.
Yeah, it was a little bit before me in regard to what that music meant to that demographic.
Yeah.
And
does it have to be like, you know? Also, boy band is definition is kind of weird. Like, is Hanson a boy band? Is fucking Jonas Brothers a boy band?
Yeah,
Who knows?
I mean, listen, is Nirvana a boy band? I mean, you could really get in the weeds there. And I'll tell you, I think the difference is it has to their set has to be singing and dancing. I think that is the what makes a boy band, because you know,
a product of they have to be made as a product, because
right.
Jack 5, you know, is made as a product, right, by Joe Jack.
Yeah, for sure.
So so I think that has to be.
He was beating Tito with a fucking penny loafer for fucking 3 years before the fucking band got off the fucking ground.
Yeah, I don't think if a bunch of guys got together on their own and be like, let's do a thing, I think that's a regular band, even if they are boys.
But I mean that.
Is Boyz II Men a fucking boy band?
I don't know, because I don't know.
Didn't, well, by my call, they didn't dance.
And I don't know if they were
kind of shimmy back and forth a little bit.
I don't know if they were structured. I
think the structure has to do with what a boy band is or not.
Well, listen, a boy band, a breakout star from you could say a breakout star from a boy band created a boy band, because what's his name from A New Edition?
Bobby Brown?
No, fuck.
Oh, Bivens. Bivens.
Yeah, who's the one who talks in Motown Philly? Is that Bivens?
No, that's Michael Bivens. Yeah.
Okay, so he like found them and put them together.
Yeah. They're
crooners more than anything to me, man. I mean,
I agree.
They're more like the Temptations of our.
Yeah, and they could sing their asses off. That's how you could tell, because most of them were ugly.
They weren't handpicked.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like as soon as you see an ugly guy that's getting ready to sing, you're like, oh, he can sing. You already know. Like, before he gets up there, you're like, oh, this guy can sing. Yeah, I think for me, when I think of boy bands, I think of like the roller skating rink and shit. And when I think of that, I think of fucking Mr. Telephone Man, and you know what I mean? If it isn't love, why do I feel? You know, backward skaters only this way. Why? You know. So 2000s, I would go with Dipset, The Bigger Picture, Jay-Z's Hovey Baby, and Freeway featuring Jay-Z and Beanie Siegel, What We Would Do, or Beanie Siegel's The Truth as a tie.
Wow. Now, are those are songs, correct?
Yes.
Because that came off the head quick. I'm going to say, what's the name of the song? Hang on, I got to Google it. I know the lyrics, but I don't know the name of the song. Hang on a sec. Let me see here. Country Grammar by Nelly. And let me think. Probably I Am by Eminem. I think that came out in 2000.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Early 2000s, definitely a lot of Eminem in there.
Yeah.
Blame it on Marilyn.
Yep.
And heroin. How funny is that? Because it kind of works years later. And how about some Linkin Park? Was really influential in my life in that time period. So I don't know the name of any Linkin Park songs. I know their music. Let me see.
Only one I know off the top of my head is Numb.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Yeah, Numb. That is it. Numb by Linkin Park.
Yeah. Joe?
2000's a little harder just because that's a lot of change, right? Like when between 20 and 30, I don't know about you guys, but like there's a lot of change personally, like personality wise,
For sure.
life status wise change. So like even music is significantly different early 2000s and late 2000s.
For
Like,
sure.
I was, a lot of Eminem, like I said, Sublime, heavy into Sublime, even though that was after they died.
Right.
Oh, one guy died.
I think the first sentence is still accurate.
Damn.
I'm just saying, it's a hard truth, but it's one nonetheless.
It is, man. I mean, I still listen to music. I like that shit a lot. And then, yeah, mid to late 2000s, a lot of Linkin Park. Like that was when I was in a fucking abusive relationship, so I listened to Linkin Park a lot.
Right.
I'm basically in that same pocket there with you.
The shut up when I'm talking to you line, man. I screamed that shit in my car.
Yep. And honestly, I can go back like in the 90s. I love Matchbox 20. Like their first album to me is still fucking great.
All of the radio.
Even the ones that weren't on the like, there's some really powerful stuff that I think a person in Third Eye, dude. See, there's a lot of music that really spoke to me as a early 20s dipshit. That
whatever comes out when someone's in their late teens, early 20s is music that kind of defines their life.
Yeah.
Or like that you will never forget. It brings your mind back to that age.
It's sitting by the overcoat, the second shelf, the notes she wrote that I can't seem to throw away. Yeah, there's some great shit in there, man.
Yeah.
2010s for me is I have to put Star Wars, like all the John Williams music in there, because once that shit came back, I mean, I've listened to Star Wars since The Force Awakens has come out, like pretty consistently for the past 5 years, which I don't think I've ever had that long of a run with Star Wars. In terms of music, I'd put Pussifer Horizons on there. That was a song I needed at that time, and definitely got a lot of play. And then I had to put Pop Smoke's Welcome to the Party, because that's been the soundtrack to my last year and a half. So I don't think I can put any other artists in that pocket in terms of consistently on rotation as like the soundtrack to my life. That's mine.
A lot of My Chem, a lot of Shinedown, early 2010s anyway.
Yeah, Shinedown for me. I mean, that's I love Shinedown. That's such a good band. They've, I know a lot of people aren't necessarily crazy about them. They're a little poppier than a heavy band, but
I love the guys.
I'm trying to think of some specific songs.
I think man, I loved it. Like I listened to that a lot when that came out.
I will say the way I listen to music has changed in that decade to where it's I put on a station of a person on the streaming service, and like today, if I want to listen to, like there's a band I really enjoy called Bring Me the Horizon that I found listening to the Shinedown station on Amazon Music. So now I listen to the Bring Me the Horizon station, and I found other bands that I like through that.
What about Yellow Wolf?
You
haven't mentioned that yet.
So
when does Chucky and Garth Brooks and Chris Gaines come in?
So see, there you go. So I mean, I'll be honest with you. I was heavy. I listened to a lot of country back in the '90s. So Alan Jackson. Fuck, dude. See, here's the thing. I can't narrow this down to the.
It's too hard. There's so much music.
Yeah, I mean, like Yellow Wolf. Honestly, like his album, it was Trunk Music Volume 1, which was actually a kind of a mixtape he put together to try to get a record deal. It's a phenomenal piece of work. And then the way he evolved as a musician over the next 6 or 7 albums to where he is today. By the way, total sidebar, I don't think I mentioned this. There's Yellow Wolf has like a documentary show that's on Crackle of all places. That's actually pretty good.
What's it about?
It's basically about him and like, so what's that? Who's that fat white rapper out of New York that does the food show? That's delicious.
This sounds like Ghostface. Action Bronson.
Right. So that concept of we're going to be touring around and going to different places. Let's videotape what we're doing and see what we can get into.
Right.
seems to kind of, I've seen that with several. It's kind of that vibe, but like he's based out of Nashville, so they go to Gadsden, Alabama, where he's from. They talk about moving from Huntsville to Atlanta when he was like 16 and skateboarding. It's basically about his life and the people that have kind of shaped him the way he is today.
That's cool.
I'm about halfway through it, I think. It's on Crackle of all things. And they play commercials, and they play the same commercial. Like, it's that, well, you guys, I don't know if you watched it. It's a commercial with, what's her name, Liz Lemon from 30 Rock, and the guy who played her fucking abusive boyfriend that is in the insurance commercials. And anyways, they play like 4 times in a row. It's very annoying. But anyways, I enjoy the hell out of Yellow Wolf. There's a guy now I like. His name is Jelly Roll. He's based in Nashville. But then I listen to fucking, I don't know what you call the kind of music. It's like heavy alternative modern rock music. I listen to a lot of that. And I was telling my wife yesterday, I've noticed more and more of those songs, and even in hip-hop, have been about mental defect and the fact that people are recognizing I have a problem and nobody will help me, or I act this way because of this. And I don't know. Music's just changed a lot. People have gotten out of their shell, I think, a lot more than they were 10 years ago.
I think that, like, there's a bunch of people that are, musicians that have a huge impact on my, that I'm not mentioning, but, like, I mean,
yeah, because we haven't said anything about Biggie or Tupac.
No, see, I didn't even fucking cross my mind.
Joe Button.
Puff Daddy back in the day.
I listened to Joe Button like consistently for years, but like I can't think of necessarily one song of his that defined a moment for me.
Right. Like it's hard. Well, I guess maybe just prom songs, man. Fuck it.
I don't even remember any songs being played at prom.
I don't want to miss a thing. Aerosmith is definitely one of them.
Probably.
Yeah, basically
that song a lot.
So basically, for me, prom would have been Boyz II Men, Mariah Carey on repeat. Because that's about the time frame.
You're a little bit older than me. See, you can tell age by that fucking the songs they list.
So, do you guys know what your senior class song was? Do you know?
No clue. I want to say Casey and JoJo.
Oh yeah.
All My Life.
Yeah,
that would probably be.
Dude, I listen to that shit a lot too.
So mine was Hero by Mariah Carey, which is mind-boggling now, but
yeah. Casey and JoJo's All My Life. I want to say it was definitely the prom song. Like that was everybody's prom song. I feel like that year.
Mm-hmm. But his graduation song, that shit was my graduation year.
Yeah, and I also think that, like, questions like this. I mean, that's how I approach all this shit. Kind of is like, this is how I feel today at 11:38 a.m. And guess what? At 11:39 a.m. I might have a totally different answer.
It's so fucking subjective.
Yeah. So let's try to do this last one and then get out of here. This is from the good minister Ryan, who we haven't heard from in a while. He said, what's up, fellas? Long time, no type. Glad to hear everyone is still healthy, and I pray you keep it that way. Please do the same for me and my family. We absolutely will. We haven't left the house in 3 weeks, taking no chances. Also, the good minister has a podcast all his own, which I am a subscriber to, called The Black Delegates, where they get into some pretty interesting conversations on there. What I was writing about was to see if any of you guys heard of or checked out the Doc Plastic Crack on Amazon Prime. You have to buy it, but it's by a collector, about collectors, and with our impending doom, I've been able to check out some of it.
Hey, what's the name of it, boy?
Doc Plastic Crack. I'm sorry. The documentary Plastic Crack. It's called Plastic Crack. It's fairly long, might be what we need right now, maybe provide you guys some content because I can't talk about this nerd stuff on Black Delegates. Anyway, peace and love, the good minister. So, no, I haven't even heard of it, but I'm going to see if I can strong arm Laura into putting it on today and buying it. You guys heard of it?
I'm looking at it right now. See if I know who any of these people are.
Yeah, I want to. I'm super interested in that.
Man, I just don't know if I'm $3 an episode interested though.
Oh wow! How many episodes is it?
It's 4 so far.
Okay.
So if we each put $1 in, which
it looks like they're 40-minute episodes.
All right.
Not a lot of information here. I don't know. I've never heard of any of these people, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, like one guy, the picture here, dude's got like muscle men in his mouth. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna see if I can get Laura to, like, if it comes out of the family budget, it's almost like it's not real money to me.
I know, right? Oh, or you can buy the whole season for $11.
Oh, perfect.
So like $4 from each of us for the whole season.
Yeah. And then we had one last one that's kind of in the same realm, so I'll just put it out there. It's from also from Rudy A. He said, "Sup, nerds? Another email. Listening to the Egg Talk this week, it reminded me of a documentary I just saw. It was the Super Size Me 2. Don't remember you guys talking about it, but it's a very interesting and fucked up insight on the chicken industry. Similar to the Tiger King documentary, it doesn't sound interesting at first, but there's a lot to it. It's only about an hour long, and it's on Amazon Prime. All these guys working for fucking Amazon today?
So Super Size Me was obviously the Morgan Spurlock McDonald's
correct
story, and I had seen that was out, but honestly, I didn't even catch my interest. But I'm imagining it's about the fact that the chicken breast you buy at the grocery store now is 5 times or 10 times the size of a chicken breast you would have bought 30 years ago.
I just also like half the price of some shit.
The thing is with me is I eat so much fucking chicken. Like I'm scared. I'm scared to watch shit like this because I'm like, ugh.
It goes back to the fucking self-conflicting thing, man. Like I've seen a lot of things that make me feel bad about stuff that I still do. Like I know the cattle industry and shit is bad, but I love me a steak.
Right.
So I'll just feel bad after I eat the steak.
Right.
Well, I mean, the thing people don't realize, and look, I eat meat. I'm not justifying the way we get to eat meat, but we would not have enough food for everyone if we were all doing free range.
Right.
Everyone, we didn't do industry farming. There's this fucking 7 billion people in the world, man. Like the way we farm is terrible for the environment, but like we have not figured out a way to do it better, or it's not financially incentive for people to change their ways.
The only way it's okay to do it is you can do it with fish because they don't have any feelings.
Yes, Nirvana.
So that much we could do.
I also like the bit from Patrice O'Neill, rest in peace. The one though you don't care about fish because they don't have eyelids, they can't blink.
Dude, that dude was funny, man.
Dude, yeah, man, that was a loss. Like,
yeah, for sure. They don't have any eyelids.
That's a good fucking bit. They're just wiggling, staring at you. Like
he said, they're Ewoks before the special edition. All right, so with that, let's get out of here. Shout out to the rest of the Cool Table, Shattercast Uncut, Enter the Realm, Stasis Lock, Toy Detox, of course us, and then building up to it, Fresh Communications, Verbally Challenged, and Breaking the Mold. Also, shout out to the rest of the Nerd Rage team. Phil, handling our notes, as limited as it may be, and our Twitter, and Dante the Destroyer on Facebook, who is... getting a lot of mileage with all the memes and shit he's been putting out recently, which has been interesting to see. And, of course, Raul on Instagram, Manny working behind the scenes, Gort and Andy helping me with the Force Sensitive and Force Friday stuff, and Esteban helping out with the Force Sensitive IG. All right, and I think that's it.
With that, Flappy Ladies.
Tasty taint.
Tight dick player.